Zombie apocalypse.
International Space Station. I'm Katie Coleman, NASA astronaut.
Whilst
From
in
Mark
space,
Cameron. This is from Mark Cameron.
Whilst in space, have you ever looked away from Earth into the black void?
Yeah.
All
because
the
you can
time.
see.
Yeah,
Because you can see the stars.
Oh yeah.
You know, and pretty much all the time you can see the stars.
Yeah. It's
which
not
is
a black
cool thing.
void. I mean, it's black, but there's all kinds of little polka dots.
There's all the stars there, and the cool thing is about it, you can see it during the day.
And when you're in space and you're looking into deep space and you're on the sun side of the orbit, the sunlight washes out all the starlight, so you can't see any stars, just like here on Earth.
There's all the stars there, and the cool thing is about it, you can see it during the day.
The sunlight washes out all the starlight, so you can't see any stars, just like here on Earth. But then when you look out into deep space away from the sun, it's the darkest black you can imagine.
Yeah, you can, and there's more than stars. You can see planets. You can see moons.
You see the gas.
In like just hanging there in a vast sea of darkness, and the most frightening darkness that you could ever imagine.
Magellan clouds of the
you
Milky Way
see
galaxy.
the Magellanic clouds.
Magellanic. See, I just wanted the Magellan
well, there's a large
clouds.
one
I didn't
and a
want
small one, right?
Yeah.
The sky is deep black when viewed from the moon, as it is when viewed from cislunar space, the space between the Earth and the moon.
And then you can see the zodiacal lights.
Whoa.
Those are amazing. Right before
The lights
sunrise.
of the zodiac?
The lights of the zodiac. The zodiacal lights, okay?
Mr. Armstrong, I do realize that when you were on the moon, you had very little time for gazing upwards. But could you tell us something about what the sky actually looks like from the moon, the sun, the earth, the stars, if any, and so on?
The sky is deep black when viewed from the moon, as it is when viewed from cislunar space, the space between the Earth and the moon. The Earth is the only visible object other than the sun that can be seen, although there have been some reports of seeing planets. I myself did not see planets from the surface, but I suspect they might be visible.
There's more than stars. You can see planets. You can
Right.
see moons.
You see the gas.
The sky, of course, was black, but it had sort of a velvet sheen to it.
The biggest visual surprise was just how black the sky was. You have a brilliant sun, brighter than any sun you normally would see, even here in New Mexico. You have these extraordinarily high mountains. We were in a valley deeper than the Grand Canyon. But then you have this black sky, a sky blacker than black, as the old Vidicon.
And we have to realize that in space, without the intervening atmosphere, the heavens are 10 times as bright, stars 10 times as numerous, because there's no atmosphere to block the light.
In like just hanging there in a vast sea of darkness, and the most frightening darkness that you could ever imagine.
I've often tried to explain the difference between darkness, when you turn out the lights and it's dark in here, or blackness. Blackness is the endlessness of it all. It's hard to comprehend.
When you get up on a clear night in Colorado, up in the mountains where there's no light and you can see all these stars, well, multiply that by 1,000. That's what it's like in space.
And we could not see stars.
Since the moon has no atmosphere, then a daytime picture, if you're there in the daytime of the moon, you see a full night sky of stars, even with the sun in the sky as well.
And when you're in space and you're looking into deep space and you're on the sun side of the orbit, the sunlight washes out all the starlight, so you can't see any stars, just like here on Earth.
When you looked up at the sky, could you actually see the stars and the solar corona in spite of the glare?
We were never able to see stars from the lunar surface or on the daylight side of the moon by eye without looking through the optics. I don't recall during the period of time that we were photographing the solar corona what stars we could see.
I don't remember seeing any.
Years later, though, Michael Collins would remember seeing the elusive stars and wrote about them in Expeditions to the Moon. It seems his memory improved the older he got.
And we could not see stars.
You don't see stars in the daytime on Earth, not because they're not there, but because the atmosphere is aglow with scattered light from the sun. If you take away the atmosphere, the sun will still be there, but the sky goes dark. That's what the folks get when they go to the edge of the atmosphere, and they're calling that the edge of space. But when you get to the edge of the atmosphere is no longer between you and the rest of the universe, and the stars reveal themselves just as they would at night. Since the moon has no atmosphere, then a daytime picture, if you're there in the daytime of the moon, you see a full night sky of stars, even with the sun in the sky as well.
What's been the most surprising, the most unexpected thing when you actually got there?
That's a great question. The most unexpected thing, I think, was the blackness of space, because we always talk about seeing the view of planet Earth and how beautiful it is, and so you come to expect that. But what people don't mention that much is just when you look the opposite direction and you see how dark space is. I mean, it's the blackest black, and you realize just how small the Earth is in that blackness, and that was a real surprise to me.
When I look out at the stars and I see, so many stars and planets, and know that, we have a place in the universe, and it's in part of our job is to explore that place.
Well, when we look out the window, Emerson, the thing that we see and notice the most is planet Earth. Some of our best windows face the Earth, and it's very blue and very beautiful. So it's what we look at the most from the window. But we can also see stars if we're on the dark side of Earth, and planets.
Since the moon has no atmosphere, then a daytime picture, if you're there in the daytime of the moon, you see a full night sky of stars, even with the sun in the sky.